Hello everyone, welcome again. Well, in this video we are going to discuss about hooks. There are two different types of hooks provided by Cucumber testing framework. The first one is before and the second one is after. These hooks can be used along with the method in the form of annotation. For example, if I want to use before hook, I need to use the annotation before with that method, and if I want to use after hook, I need to use the annotation after with that method. So the job of before hook is that this is going to execute before a scenario start, and this is going to execute when all the steps of a scenario done their execution. Okay, so whatever the method which I annotate with @before, that method will invoke before starting the execution of any scenario, and similarly if I use after annotation with any method, that particular method will be invoked when all the steps of that scenario finishes their execution. Okay, so in our feature file folder, I'll add one more feature file and let me call it as hooks.feature, and I'm going to use the same code for feature file which we used in our last video, where we are clicking on the link present at the Bugzilla homepage and asserting the title. So let me define this with the help of feature keyword, feature cucumber hooks. So if you see here, given step is common to all the scenario, so I can move that step inside background, and I will comment this step from rest of the scenario. And do a pretty format. But here one problem is that whatever the step you specified under background keyword, that will execute prior to scenario. So as you can see here, we have one more step common in all the scenario. There I'm closing the browser. So if I move this step inside background, in that case what will happen, before starting the execution of this feature, this two step will be invoked. Okay, so we need certain mechanism by which we can define certain step which should execute before the scenario and certain step which should execute after the scenario, and that can be done with the help of hooks. So first of all, let me generate the step definition for this feature file. So I will add one more class file here and let me call it as hooks. So this will be and. So here first of all I need to create the reference for WebDriver. So private WebDriver driver, and I'm going to copy the same code which we used in our previous feature file. So this will be URL, this will be link, and this will be title. So this will be driver dot find element by dot link text and the argument dot click. This will be assert dot assert equal. So expected is title and actual will be driver dot get title, and here I will close the browser. So driver dot quit. Now if I run this feature file, so just do a right click, run as cucumber feature. So for the first scenario, then for the second scenario where I will click on new link, and the fourth one, so all the scenarios are done. So in order to demonstrate the functionality of hook, let me fail one of the test scenarios. So here I will fail this test by failing the assertion. So let me rerun it once again. So our one of the tests got failed because there is a assertion failure in the title, and rest of the scenario are continuing their execution. So second is done. This is the third scenario. And this is the fourth scenario. So as you can see here, still the browser window is not closed because there is a fail in the assertion here in the then step, and because of it our step where I'm closing the browser got skipped. Okay, so now in order to overcome such situation, I'm going to take the help of hooks. So here I'll create one public method, public void setup, and I'm going to do all this initialization inside this, and this method I'm going to mark with before annotation, which is coming from cucumber.api.java. So this piece of code will get executed before starting the execution of any scenario. and in the end I'm going to use one more public method, public void tear down. Okay, and I will use the annotation after. So this is the step, or you can say this is the method which will be invoked when all the steps of the scenario are done. So I'm going to move this driver.quit inside this. Now again I'll run the same feature file. So run as cucumber. Okay, just let me check, there is some problem. Okay, I need to remove this piece of code, otherwise there will be two Firefox browser. So run as cucumber feature. Or let me do one more thing, let me add some checkpoints. So here I will add sysio before hook, and similarly after hook. Okay, so run as cucumber feature. So as you can see that before hook got executed, even before the background, and after hook got executed out after executing all the steps. So this is for second scenario. And this is third scenario. And this is fourth scenario. Okay, but as you can see here, now this time we don't have any Firefox browser open left, because as soon as there is a failure in the then step, there it is going to skip the end step, but after hook is going to execute and it is going to close the browser here. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether a steps present inside the scenario failed or passed, before and after hook is going to execute and perform their action. That is the reason for this scenario in our previous run we had a failure because of the assertion error, and at that time the browser window was left open. But because of using hook, even though I have a failure over this step, after hook got executed and it closed the browser. Okay, so that is the functionality of before and after hook. Now using hook you can specify that for which scenario you want to execute a specific hook. For example, for this two scenario I want to execute the test inside the Firefox browser, and for this two scenario I want to execute the test inside the Chrome browser. So this is also I can do with the help of hooks. All we need to do is to specify an annotation which will be used inside the hook. So let's say Firefox, and this is a custom annotation. This is given by me, it is not coming from your Cucumber framework. So I'll give Firefox this with this also, and this I'm going to give Chrome. Okay, so using this annotation I'm specifying that for which scenario I want to use the Firefox browser, and as I told earlier, this is a custom annotation. Cucumber does not provide this annotation. Here you can give any other thing also, for example Firefox browser, like this also, like this also. Okay, so now in order to tell the hook that for which scenario you should invoke the setup and tear down method, we are going to supply the name of annotation inside before annotation. So here I will use value and specify @Firefox. Okay, so as soon as I specify this particular annotation, now the scope of this hook will be restricted to this two scenario only. This particular hook will not be invoked for rest of the scenario, because we did a kind of filtering mechanism by supplying the annotation over here. Okay, so similarly I will create one more hook for Chrome. So instead of setup, I will make it setup Chrome, and this will be your Chrome driver, and before that I need to set the system property. So for Chrome, yeah, this is the property name, and value will be the location where you have a Chrome driver. So this is the location. Okay, so using this hook I have specified that this hook should be invoked for the scenario with the tag called Chrome. So this in other way is also called as tagging. Okay, so this hook will be invoked for the only scenario which has annotation @Firefox, and this hook will be invoked only for those scenario which have the annotation @Chrome. Okay, and here, as this will be the common step for both the scenarios, both type of scenarios, so here I can specify value equal to @Firefox, comma @Chrome. Okay, so this will be your after hook, and this will be your Firefox hook, Chrome hook. Now let me rerun this feature file once again. So the first scenario will be executed inside the Firefox browser. So the Firefox hooks got invoked. So now as you can see that the third scenario is getting executed inside the Chrome browser. So as you can see that all the four scenario got executed. Out of them, one failed, three passed. There were 16 steps. One failed, one skipped, and 14. And the failure because of this, where there is assertion failure for the title. Okay. So using the hook functionality, you can perform a specific task before and after the scenario. And using the annotation or tagging, you can also specify the hook functionality for any specific scenario. So in other words, this is also known as tagging. So I have tagged this to scenario to execute the Chrome hook, and I have tagged this to scenario to execute the Firefox hook. Okay, so that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.